Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode of the SlotsFan Podcast. We're so happy and grateful to welcome NJ Slot Guy back to the show. John, it's so nice to see you. I feel like I'm sitting in your chair introducing this show. I want to just start by welcoming you back and telling you how happy we are to see you back. And I'm sure the same thing goes for all your fans. Maybe we can just start by checking in. How are things going? You were dealing with some pretty serious medical stuff and it's taken you out of the game for a little bit. So I know a lot of people are really interested to hear how things are going for you.
Yeah, this was really good timing, and it couldn't have been better timing as I was starting to, now I'm able to like sit up. This is a long drawn out thing that has happened here. And it was just being bounced back and forth from like hospital to hospital and not knowing what the hell is going on here. And finally, we found some answers and at least some kind of what's going on and what to do next. I have, I still have images that I have to go get, updated images, of course, because this stuff changes, weekly, monthly and all that. And, I'm going back and forth into the city. If anybody knows what that's like coming from Jersey to New York City, that is not a fun thing whatsoever. As close as I am to the city, it's, an hour something just to get there. You got to park, you got to go through the whole thing. And that's where this specialist person is that's going to take on my case. This is a crazy thing. This is like a newer thing. I'm part of science right now, which is pretty cool, because I love that I'm going to officially bring awareness to something that people don't know about. And that to me is fun. Like that's a new mission and goal now. I'm going to, make people more aware of something that, people suffer from. I guess I'll be I'll be one of those lead person.
I think a lot of people in your audience have seen your updates and have some idea of what's going on. But for people who are fans of yours but may not know the situation, do you mind filling us in quickly on what happened and what you've been through in the last weeks and months?
Yeah, let's rock and roll. So I have something called a cerebrospinal fluid leak. And as common as that is to people that do know what that is, my leak, my tear is in a region of the spine, where it usually isn't. And what I have, it's called a rare and spontaneous occurrence, which is like a single-digit percentage of people suffer from this, right? Unless you get into like a severe physical accident. This just happened to me. Like I just happened to have this rare spontaneous leak. On top of that, while all of that fun was going on and all of that fun was happening, they actually did find an aneurysm, which was completely, it's not harming anything, but it's there sort of thing. They found that in my head, as well as a blood clot. It's something called like a thrombosis, some crazy names and crazy things that I've been hearing and dealing with. And luckily they were able to find this. However, it took them a couple weeks to figure out what was going on, because again, this is like a rare thing. The CSF leak, like foundation or whatever it is, just like started in like 2014. So that's how like newer of a sickness or whatever it is this is. And I guess more awareness is starting to happen because now there's more specialists that are working on stuff like this. So, I'm seeing it firsthand with what I'm dealing with all the specialists and the people and the doctors, and we want to look at this and, this means this and all this fun stuff. So, but definitely not fun. I wasn't able to walk. I was in severe pain. Like I wasn't able to, it happened the day of a big event that I had going on in Delaware. Tim was there with me, Rhonda, and I wasn't able to do it. I drove all the way down there and I wasn't able to stand up. I remember I walked in to the casino. We could ask Tim. I said, Tim, I have to go to the hospital. I don't know what the hell's going on with me. And it was like such a weird thing. And, now seeing how much the brain, has, control of whatever I'm able to see right now. I wasn't able to see. I was seeing everything with double vision and blurry vision. So this is, to be able to sit here and do this with you is awesome, because it's making me, feel like I'm getting back to normal, even though I'm still a little far out from that. it's still, it's giving me a little taste of it again. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. This was also giving, my people and everybody that was involved, another update, because I knew that this was going to come out, in the midst of me being seen by the specialists and procedures and stuff. This is what's going on right now as you are watching this video. So sorry, you said make it quick, Matt.
No, man. No, John, that sounds so scary. And I think I speak for everybody in the community and all your fans to say that, we feel for you and how hard that must be and how scary that must be. And we're just so happy that you're okay and that things are looking up. And, I think I said it before the show, but when I think of people with a real indomitable spirit, I think of you, John. And I know that if anyone can bounce back from this, then it's you. You've got such a huge energy and a huge personality. We're all pulling for you in the community. And so we really appreciate the update and checking in, and, wish you a smooth and speedy recovery. And, the fact that you can maybe participate in bringing more awareness or work on this area is really meaningful as well. So that's really interesting. Where you described where you were coming from. And I think you're still, like you said, you're still dealing with it and you're showing some improvements. What do you think the next weeks and months are going to look like for you in terms of your own well-being, but also when it comes to your channel and other stuff in the community?
Luckily, big, huge monster shout out to Mid-South Slots. He put together just like a ton of compilation videos of like all my old school stuff from like 6 years ago, and just started piecing it together for me, man. I did not ask, this man to do this for me, obviously, but he's always been proactive when it's come to my channel. He's done so many things as far as like, just like, hey man, you got to fix these titles on your thing. I'm going to do it for you, like sort of thing. So he took it upon himself because I was updating him just like I was updating anybody that I was in touch with. And like, he already saw what was going on timeline wise, because I actually this will be my second trip that I'm going to have to cancel, and both of them had to do with Randy. And he saw it happening. He's like, you're not going to have any footage. Luckily, I'm still sitting on about 10 videos from Tampa from when I was there. And I still have to edit and go through all those. But once those are ran through, I'm going to have probably about a month where I have to, start saying, all right, it's time, as long as I obviously feel healthy again. If I can't, Matt, and I got to make that announcement, it is what it is. But I'm pretty confident that we could still keep this thing going if I just pulled back on the videos, and we could still, figure this thing out. Now that I'm seeing what the timeline is looking like, I'm not going to be able to fly anywhere like in, let's just say 2025, but locally, at least I could kind of keep it going with some local stuff, and, that'll get me through the year, let's just say. And then, we hope to be back to normal by then, hopefully.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. And I know from experience that casinos aren't the most chill place. If you've got a headache or you're not feeling well, they're pretty loud and bright and stuff. So we wish you the best of luck. And, I think when you mentioned Mid-South Slots, there's so many people in the community, including SlotsFan, that are here to support you. And, I'd love to chat about ways that we can contribute to keeping your channel going in the meantime as you're getting back on your feet. Not to get too heavy, but these kind of experiences bring out a lot of feelings. And, I'm curious what the experience has been like, apart from all the hardships of what you've gone through physically. It seems like the community really pulled behind you. It brought out a lot of support. And I'm curious what that was like for you, because that's what I saw on your channel and everywhere else, was a massive outpouring of support and love for you, and kind of gratitude for what you've brought to us as fans. And I'm curious what that experience was like for you.
That was nuts. I couldn't believe, everything that was going on. You have these moments of like, when we were in Vegas, Matt, you were there with us, you saw it. You're standing there with fans, and these fans are making you feel like you're so important. They come out, I've come out here to see you. I watch your stuff every day. And you hear all that stuff. And obviously we've been through a million experiences to feel that importance. Then this happened, of course. And I mean, you have friends, you have people who care, of course. You don't realize what is capable until you see like what's going on. Like that was craziness. Multiple channels had mentioned to me about a GoFundMe, and I was like, no, like that's not necessary. Like I don't want to, I don't want anything to do with that. Not that I have, I don't have anything against it. I didn't see it as a feasible thing when this all first happened. Like we're not going to do a GoFundMe. Like stop that. Then like things started to get worse and not look so great, and other things started to happen, and I'm just starting to put things into perspective and like, wait, this could be done. Like this could be done. This whole thing could be done and all that stuff. And I was just like, all right, let's go for it, and then, doing the GoFundMe, I mean, outside of the fund me of it, that's what made me realize the community and what was out there and what was capable, not only in the slot community, but in my own community too. I saw other things happen, which are, personal things, that made me feel a certain way. Like, holy crap, man. Like, even if I didn't have this whole slot community thing and this did happen, like I see what it was capable of at home, as well as vice versa. Even if I wasn't home, if home didn't know about this and it was just a slot community, I got to see what was capable on both ends of it, and they all got put together. I've never felt more important in my life. Like it's crazy to, see all that and mentally going through it, man. Like I'm not only sitting in a hospital miserable, but like I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't sit there and just, sit there, watch TV, catch up on some shows and whatnot. I couldn't see anything. Wow. So just sitting there, just waiting for the next nurse to come in, waiting for the next whatever to come in, to check on me, take more blood, take more, get another test done, wheel me down for more images, like all that shit. Like that was crazy.
Must have been really hard.
It really sucked. So to be able to go on to there, especially once this GoFundMe, all this stuff started, and just looking at like different messages and notes and stuff like that was crazy, man. It's exactly what I needed. It's what got me through the weeks. I was in the hospital for weeks, Matt, so that was a crazy time. So the community as a whole is incredible. And now everybody hopefully can see exactly why it is I go so hard for it and why I am the way I am. And it shows the capabilities of it when we all come together, which we're more separated than anything when it comes to this damn community. But, it goes to show like what we're capable of and the people that are behind it. Like, I couldn't believe I'm trying to keep up, trying to keep up with my thank yous and stuff. And I was just going on and just seeing people were going live for me. Like, we're going to donate all these super chats over to, and Jay's GoFundMe. Like, what are you doing, man? You don't have to do that. Like craziness, Matt. Craziness.
My take on that and what I've seen is that it's reciprocating the amount of energy and support and generosity that you've given people in the past. And I would imagine that goes for your local community as well. My experience with you I've been blown away by how generous you've been. And every person that you've had, almost everyone that we've had on the podcast that you've talked to has said the same thing, and how you've been a real, a big support for them professionally, but also socially in other ways. And that's totally been my experience. So I feel like you're getting back what you've been putting out the whole time. And it's really wonderful to see that, because I think you really deserve it.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. And, I say, my personal thank you to every single subscriber, follower, watcher out there, every channel. The channels were incredible, man. I couldn't thank them enough. I knew I made lifelong friends in this. I've said this. That's been one of the most positive things that has come from this is I've made lifelong friends, and this just confirmed it, and which friends those are. And like, you see something happen, you never think there's going to be a health issue. I would think that I knew at some point, like if I was ever in trouble or if I ever was traveling to this state, I'm going to hit this person up. Most likely you'll see all those people have shared. It went beyond that. Some of the channels I'm not even subscribed to are sharing my link out. And, this is one about, like, that's awesome. It goes to show how this community has happened and how it all comes back around full circle, like you were saying. And it's good to know, man. It's good to know because I put a lot of time and effort into this community, and I feel like I'm a good judge of character, especially when it comes to a lot of these channels. And I've seen nothing but that, especially outside. It's the stuff nobody sees. All the text messages and phone calls from all of these channels, as well as them sharing whatever it may be. So, no, I can honestly say, to feel loved like I did, I've never felt more loved than I have over these past couple months. And, a big, huge special thank you to this community alone, which holds, a huge slice of my life, revolves around this community. So, saying a lot.
I mean, it puts things in perspective for sure. We were talking a bit before the show about some of the disagreements that people have in the community, and people get hung up. I mean, it's like makes sense, but it sure puts things into perspective in terms of like winning, not winning, arguing with people, and what's really important, and maybe what we can do when we are cooperative and supporting each other versus trying to compete and tear people down and that kind of thing. So I think you've always been a great example of what's possible when you're collaborative and supportive and stuff. So I know, there's just so much gratitude towards you for all that, and we're here to support you through this.
Yeah, no, definitely, Matt. Thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody's been great, fantastic, especially you guys. I felt how we were just getting rocking and rolling with something over there at SlotsFan, for it to just come to an abrupt end. I have another deal I have on the table of something that was just about to start, too. And I feel bad, and I know nobody cares. Obviously, we all care about health and stuff like that. Nobody's going anywhere. Everything's going to be there. It's just another one of those.
That makes sense. I mean, that's totally understandable. And I know you as such an active you're always moving forward and you're always doing a lot of stuff. So I would imagine in particular for you, it's been super challenging.
Killing me, man. I want to get back out there. It's hard to go at a slow pace. For me, I don't like to move slowly. I like to move around and just, keep things at an anxiety level. I like to work with anxiety, and it's been very hard to, just moving around so slow and just moving, just not doing videos, not commenting on my videos, not, just a lot of knots going on right now. And it stinks to get used to this whole thing. So I'm hoping to, I'm feeling a little bit, in myself, and I'm hoping to get this. I got to get all this stuff done in the next, hopefully, month. Like I said, hopefully I can get back out there again and get back to rocking and rolling, man.
We look forward to it. There's going to be a big audience of people really excited to watch and engage with your content when it does come back.
I do hope so, Matt.
We talked a bit about it before, but on this podcast, you've had a chance to ask tons of awesome influencers about their backstories, their experiences, their big wins, all this stuff. So far, no one's had a chance to ask you these things, and I'm excited to take this opportunity, if you're up for it, to ask you a couple things. Yes.
I'm finally on the other side now.
Yeah. So how did NJ Slot Guy get started? I mean, can you give us a bit of background on where you came from, how you got into slots even before slots content became a thing, and what led to you becoming, such a central figure in the slots community?
Yeah, of course. Let's go back down memory lane here. So I had the Apple TV on. I was sitting with my father, and I was like, Dad, what's a machine like? What's a machine you don't see anymore, because we're old school slot machine players. So they're starting to get pulled out every time we would go down. There's another machine missing, right? So that's where the thought process was. Sure enough, I'm sure somebody's got a picture of it, somewhere. Let's look it up. And sure enough, boom, here they come, right? And at that point, it was Brian, Christopher, Tim, East Coast Slots, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
What year was this?
This was 2018. Was 2018, yeah. 2018, I'm seeing those guys, real quick. I wasn't expecting that, but I was like, what the hell is this? So that night, I remember diving in. I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Like, what am I watching? Because I'm at that point, I would go down like once a month with my parents just to go down.
Go to Atlantic City, or
I was a big tables player. Tables, craps, blackjack, all that fun stuff. I would go to the high limit room to go smoke, go sit, have a cigarette or 16, and just pop in hundreds here and there. I wasn't really big into the slot machines, yet. I was kind of like going, but not really. And, like I said, boom, I dive in and I'm like, these people are recording themselves. Like, what the hell's going on here? So I see this, and I literally had a bachelor party that I was going to in Atlantic City for 3 days. It was like Thursday to Sunday. Beautiful stretch of time. This was a perfect time to start the channel, but I didn't. I had it in my head that I was like, I should do this next time I go. And I'm like, no, I can't do this. I got too much going on. Bachelor parties coming up. Matt, when I tell you, because this will be part of the questions that you'll ask, this was a record-setting weekend. I hit 56 jackpots from the time I got there until the time that and I'm like, I started my channel less than a month later after that. That's where I was going with this. That's like what led me into, I hit so many jackpots. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you could have been these people that you're watching. And finally I did. A month later, I was like, screw this. I'm, pulling my phone out. I'm going to start filming, and there it is. I just went like this, and I started filming. I didn't know what went into it. I literally thought these people were going, Brian, all of them were going and, boop, like this. It wasn't a big production scene like it is now. It was more hidden. It was more of a hidden thing. So that's where my thought process was, because I'm so used to the tables. You're not allowed to even text while you're sitting at the table. So my thought process was, you're not supposed to do this. So like, when I'm in the highlight room, I'm like, you could barely hear me in those videos. I remember driving to Pennsylvania and doing it too. And they caught me, came out and made me delete the videos.
Really?
Yeah. It was some crazy stuff. And then like, once I saw that these videos were taking off, man, like the subscriber number was going friggin' crazy. I was like, I got to do something here. Like, this is for real. Like, what do I do? So like, I remember hitting up Brian and Tim and what do you do? How do you go about this? You need approval. There it is, and that was, that was it. Once I figured out, how to be a professional about it, like, we're not trying to hide anymore. Like, what are we doing? However, my own home state, still to this day, like, there's only 2 or 3 casinos that approve of it. And even then they make you jump through hoops just to record for a couple hours. It really stinks. So it hasn't been easy, but luckily, thanks to the other properties and other, people who appreciate the social, the social content from it, I'm able to still be able to do this. Otherwise, if it was just New Jersey like itself, New Jersey absolutely stinks,
That's interesting. I mean, you can see it changing all over the place, and I would imagine it'll reach New Jersey eventually. I don't know if there's something specific about their, like, but the gaming commission there or the rules or whatever, but more and more, as I'm sure you've experienced, so many casinos are understanding the upsides to letting people film. I'm curious, you mentioned being kind of green when you started posting the videos, but it sounds like the reception, at least in terms of like the viewers, the subscribers, all that was really positive. Can you tell us in any more specific terms about the reaction that you got from posting your content at the beginning, and maybe how that motivated you to continue doing it? Yeah,
so they were first of all, my shout out to my following, and I mean, this goes back to obviously all the health stuff, and because they've been more vocal than anything. I've seen my following more than anything over the last couple of months. They are a loyal bunch of like I feel like I've had other creators tell me throughout this process, I've never seen such a loyal following than I have, from your following. They're nuts. They're absolutely nut jobs. All of them. All of them are sickos in the head, and I love every single one of them because of it. And it was exactly that, Matt. It was, I just like let myself loose one time because I wasn't sure what I was doing with YouTube still. I'm like, you can't be yourself, right? Like, it's YouTube. You can't curse. You can't. You gotta calm the hell down. And like, this is the worst place to be. And now this is perfect because it's you here. So you've seen the crew. You've seen Jer. Exactly.
Yes,
So like
yeah.
you see the struggle here. That like I'm like.
But that's what people want from you. They want the real character,
That's
right?
it.
Like,
Ended up slipping one night. Just had a little bit too much that night, and like just ended up slipping. And the world went banana land. They went absolutely nuts. They went crazy. They loved all the friggin' movie quotes, because I always had done that from when I was a kid, like, from watching movies. And then it's all like the mob movie quotes, and then all the local sickos. I have all the Jersey, New York people. Like these are people who aren't correct. We're not correct in the head. You've seen this, Matt. You've partied with us. Like we're not okay as a whole, right? Like so, like I have all of these people. And whereas, again, this was 2018. There wasn't 1,000 channels. You have the West Coast channels. The people that are out there, they don't even know that they exist over here. I happen to pull my phone out in New Jersey and put Atlantic City. Boom, all of a sudden, hey, there's nobody doing this. There was a couple people actually that were doing this at that time that don't exist anymore. And then they just went their way. I was like, let's do this. Like I remember getting official like approval in New Jersey. Like, let's do this. We're going to put this on the map. And finally getting that sort of reception back from the fans. Like, oh my God, we love this. I love it. Good. You should curse at the machine. That's all that took. I'm like I said, I'm drinking, I'm smoking. People were going nuts for it. So I just was able to be myself. That's not hard to do. Add some little, sprinkle some little, fun in on that with Jerry and whoever else. In the midst of that, there was also a big boom that happened, within the first year of having a channel. Was now a whole bunch of channels came out. Slot Hopper, Stacy, Mid-South Slots, Old School Slots. We had that whole crew of people now come in as well while this was going on. So it's like you now on top of the reception you were getting from fans, you were having fans of yours become channels. Mm-hmm. And that made it even cooler. Like that made it even more cool on the fact of I was watching Tim and East Coast and Brian, and now those are all friends. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was awesome. That was so cool. This is somebody I was watching on my television. Now all of a sudden we are friends. We're traveling. We're trying to make each other money. We're doing events with each other. That is crazy to think about. And that draw too was like, that made you go even harder too.
And now that's just happening more and more, where so many more channels are coming out, and by and large, these are mostly people who are fans and, slots players themselves, but also fans of other channels.
Yeah.
And seeing an opportunity. I'm curious, like rewinding into the first couple of years, I guess the pandemic was a big factor in the growth of, this space and a lot of the channels. What was that experience like for you, and how did it contribute to the growth or otherwise impact your channel and your experience?
Right. Luckily, Matt, and I mean, anybody that has been around me can also vouch for the fact of I don't mess around. And as much as I have a great time, we go party, we do all this stuff, I friggin' work, man. And I don't ever stop recording. And from when I saw the channel, the channel was 2018. So I had a good 2 years building up until this pandemic happened, luckily. And I had so much of a backlog of videos because not only was I recording every chance I got, but like I'm going more too. I was like, I'm going to go more now. I'm going to go record more. And I had so much videos for when everything shut down. I was able to keep up with it at least, and, I was posting like every other day too at that point, but I had so much footage. What separated me from the others when I first started, and still to this day, I mean, obviously the percentage has grown, but I share everything. I share every loss. There's no editing. The only editing you see is me piecing together a video or blocking out, blocking out a really bad obscenity. I usually keep everything in there, but like,
sometimes
really bad stuff or like the discussion of some sort, that's the only editing you will see. Otherwise, you're going to watch me run, $1,000 through in 3.5 minutes. That's exactly what you're going to see. You're going to see reality. And then I picked up that whole audience of, oh my God, we love the fact that you're not just showing me jackpots. I love to see reality of it. I love to see how this plays. And then I picked up that entire audience of people who didn't care. They didn't want to see just jackpot. They wanted to see how this Tabasco machine is going to play at $20 a spin. So, it also hurt me that I wasn't putting out jackpot after jackpot, but it's like 70% of my videos were losing videos. Like, what am I supposed to do here? Who the hell goes to work and hands their boss money? Like that's where the concept is. My accountant was like, what are you doing at one point? Like, you can't do this. This isn't right. Like, you're caught. You basically just did this to throw money away. What the hell's the matter with you? So
well, that's the reality of playing slots, right? And there's the different factors of trying to represent realistic experience, and it's not just jackpot after jackpot when people go. So I think there's people doing this have a bit of an obligation to represent a realistic experience, but then also it's the fact that, like you said, I think the audience, your biggest jackpot video isn't always your biggest viral video. And these hits can come from all over the place. And, gamblers by and large also love the expectation of like a win or a loss, and the losses, make the wins sweeter, but they also have a big emotional impact as well. And they get to see you being real, and people can relate to that because as players, we also have those experiences more often than the big jackpots. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious also about, your lives on YouTube have been legendary. And I'm curious what role that played in community building, in you kind of putting your real, that's like the most unedited. It's like you don't even have a chance to delete something that comes out.
Yeah.
So what was that like, kind of getting into doing that and connecting with your audience in the live setting?
So what was good about that was because of all the variables that do come with my life and the surroundings, like I didn't go live much, which is now it's like you have to go live. Forget if you're at the casino, you're going live, right? Like that's the thing. I didn't want that. I wanted that to be special. This is like pay-per-view, right? And I still have kept that true to this day. You will not see a lot of live streams on my channel. They're very rare, a lot of few and far between, twice a year, 3 times a year. So if you see that live going off, you have to tune in. Like that's where my thought process was. Same thing with premieres. I hold them very serious. Like this should be a big time thing. This shouldn't just be, I'm going to premiere it, and all this stuff. So I've been holding very true to that. So there aren't a lot of them, which makes it legendary. And then, obviously you get to witness the fun and really see is he for real? He really doesn't edit his stuff. Like he's really like this. Yeah, he is like this. Not only is he like that, he's worse. He's worse than you would have thought. And it's like the variables and things that could happen, from the start of this to the end of this, the amount of stories that are out there throughout the community. If you poke, well enough, if you poke the right people, they will tell you because they've been a part of these live streams before. They have walked in, while this has been happening, and they've got to witness it live, and they go, this is exactly what it should be. And then that's where the thought process is. Like, that's why I want this to be special. I don't want to just go live every time I'm at the casino. I don't feel the same every time I'm at the casino. I'm not having a great time every time I'm at the casino. Sometimes I don't want to be on film right now, and, I will like to turn the camera off and go have a drink and relax and, I don't know, BS a little bit, whatever it may be. And sometimes I do want to be on camera and just friggin' rock and roll. But I feel like it won't be special if it's consistent, if it's too much. Like it'll lose its, its value, Matt, if that makes sense.
I mean, you've been in, like you said, since 2018. That's a while now. And you've been kind of at the center of a lot of the growth of this space. I'm curious, it's a common topic now, just how many channels are popping up on SlotsFan. We have like almost 300 channels ranked, but when we've talked, you've estimated the number of channels to be far bigger than that. With so many channels starting in the space, what advice do you have to people that are starting out or considering starting a channel?
Oh, man.
Is this a good opportunity for people to consider? And if they do, what are the biggest factors that they should keep in mind? And what tips do you have for them?
Such a different like outlook now, because that was a thing. Like I remember these emails from Stacy, Old School Slots, Cowboy Slots, Mid-South slots. I remember these emails before they were channels, or maybe just coming up and starting, or at least these conversations. And it's like, I remember being like, do it. You have to do it. You got to do it. You have to do it. Like, do it. I wish I did it sooner, because that was my whole thing was, I wish I found this sooner. Let's go. Like, we can attack this. We can, the more the merrier. Like, I wasn't thinking obviously what was going to happen from it, which is, the oversaturation of it. But that's with anything. That would happen with anything that is starting. This is still just starting. This is going to get picked up. This is going to be on some kind of whatever it is, and it'll get out however far it could be. Casinos are everywhere. This isn't some little, corner of the world. This is casinos and gambling. This is crazy. This is going to go somewhere at some point, and it will. Will it be us? Who the hell knows? But it will eventually, balloon out into that, point of, I don't know, some kind of celebrity is going to pick this up. I don't know. Who knows, Matt?
I mean, it makes sense. There's like the market, the industry is massive, and the audience is massive, and there hasn't been a great way to reach slots and casino players and market these products to them in the past. And, I think you're totally right.
Yeah.
And you can see it everywhere. People are catching on in a big way in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Should people still do it, and what tips do you have for them if they choose, or if they're just starting out now?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. What the heck happened there?
No worries.
Totally went off. What would be the difference now? I would tell them, like, make sure what can separate you from the rest now at this point. Like before, there was a lot. There was so many different things. It's all the people you watch now. What separates them from each other? That's really where we're at now. And like, what are you going to do that's going to, make you differ from the next, now that there's so many, you have to say that. That's like I would think that's a realistic thing. Like I know creators, I'm friends with creators in this space that make, $22 a month off of this. Does that sound like something, what I mean, that you want to attack? Does that sound like something like you would do? I would only want to be realistic with people, because I would want that same thing. My job's always to coach, always. So like, I'm trying to make your life a lot easier than mine was, so how can I do that? So I would only, say realistic things like that, I mean, it seems like the people that are successful and that are able to actually do it for a long period of time are already doing it, like these are people who are already playing. Exactly. They're already loving, they're playing even when they're not filming, they're still playing, and because they love doing it. Right. And you get to experience it. And then it can turn into a business, I guess, that could potentially make you money. But it seems like by and large, the kind of people who are able to do it are the ones who would be doing it anyway. And they're really just turning on a camera. Right. And so many influencers that we talk to have that story where someone in their life was like, you're doing this already. Have you ever thought of just recording it and posting it? Because it's this whole thing. What do you think, on the topic of tips for influencers and for us, what do you think are the most important things that people want to see? Like what's most important to the slots players based on your experience, and what are some examples of things that people can focus on to try to differentiate themselves that will appeal to the slots audience? It seems like there's a real grasp, obviously, for the high bet is always going to be something that'll take over, and it has. The entire algorithm is based on these max bets. You have 2, maybe 3 people who are keeping consistent with these high amount of views on a low, pay scale, a low betting scale. Obviously, somebody wants to see what they don't do. That's the big draw, right? And the best part is, what people don't realize is, the normal casino player is the quarter player, like the quarter player, dollar player. So like betting $5 a spin, $10 a spin is out of most wheelhouses. Yeah. So it's like, you don't have to go crazy and do that. I did it. I did to start and went backward. I luckily was able to maintain. You know how hard it is to backtrack? It's once you do something in this space, it's very hard to go backwards.
In terms of bet size, you mean?
Man, and that's all I've done, because I was doing $30 to $60 spins. That was my usual, and I had to pull back, obviously, because of money wise. Be like, I'm not going to have a channel. And I've seen channels go bankrupt. I've seen other channels come up, go down. They don't exist anymore. And I can only see why it was about to happen. I was like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? Like, that's what's going to happen. You look at yourself over a year, you got to stop, So like I pulled back my bet size, and it was perfectly fine. I had again, that loyal audience where they're like, I don't give a crap what the hell you're betting. We watch you for you and like your banter, and that's what could separate me from that. That's why we said, like, what's your thing going to be? Like, how can you have a slot? Everybody's playing these slot machines, right? So you, me, and 5 other influencers are playing this chicken machine, right? How is it going to differ? We're all depending on this machine to spit out bonuses and different crap. Otherwise, we're going to have to take the lead on this, right?
Well, you make an interesting point, because it sounds like in your case, you are appealing to a really specific audience, like a group of people, East Coast, New Jersey, gamblers. So maybe one way people can stand out is by actually appealing to someone that can relate to them specifically, whether, it's their culture or their background or their location, or, I know this happens with like games, people have channels based around certain games and they attract viewers who just love that game more than anything else. So maybe, that could be an opportunity for people to explore.
Yeah. Yeah. We have we're just scratching the surface here, because, you're having these new up and comers, these people who are born into these generations of social content, social media. They're seeing how important we are. Even the smallest channel can mean something to a local casino and local whatever new company happens to have their machine in that. Everybody can work together in this. And we just unlocked this did not exist. Now it does. So it's like, what did we just unlock in this world of slot manufacturers? Just slot manufacturers, just slot machines we're talking about. We haven't scratched everything else in the iGaming, the online casino. So many other things there are, but this just happened, right? Like, this is still just happening. We're just finding out that we are becoming, more important to these companies. Like, start paying. Like, they're going to start paying us. There's going to be
happening.
Positions.
It's definitely happening.
Yeah. There's going to be positions meant for social content creators to, cover this and that. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Will it be for me, or will it be for the 20-year down the road crew? We'll see. But still, it's happening, Matt. At least I can't see it not happening. It's not going to go backwards, right? Like,
Yeah, from my perspective, it's definitely happening. And I think it's possible because people like yourself have kind of paved the way to allow this to, you've created the thing that people are now understanding the value of. And I think when it comes to slot developers, land-based casinos, online casinos, other brands and suppliers, it's like we're talking about casino and slot marketing in a way that wasn't really possible before. Like direct mail is still the biggest casino marketing strategy, I think. And you can imagine how much more of a direct line you and other influencers have to these players. So, I mean, I think it's already happening, and it's going to keep growing in a big way. I'm curious, you were talking about having seen channels go bankrupt, kind of what goes on behind the scenes when you're trying to manage the money and the business side of a channel like this that really relies on a lot of expenses, and you kind of highlighted the bigger bets as being more valuable in general. I'm curious if you can tell us what's it really like for people, and how does it differ from the image that people may have of slots influencers? And I know some slots influencers probably do have a endless bankroll because they're wealthy or something like that. But what as someone who's been in the space and has seen, like you said, a lot of the people come and go, what's different than the perception that the audience might have about how these channels really work, about how it all works behind the scenes?
It's usually not a plus. Like, for most of the channels that you watch, they aren't in the plus from what they're doing. It is more of a kickback. They're going to the casino anyway, like they do every month. Like, I was literally telling you how this started, right? Like, oh yeah, I go down monthly with my parents. That's when this started. That's exactly what I was doing, except now, oh crap, I'm getting a couple $100 from YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm still doing everything the same.
Looks like another loyalty program that you've joined.
Another loyalty program, except now you're becoming something which means now you're going more. Now you're recording, you're doing stuff that you wouldn't before. And that's the truth, because when you're not a social content creator, you would have whatever money. You're not just going and playing slot machines and you're not caring and just throwing money at the, you know what I mean? So whereas when you're recording, that can easily happen. I'm trying to record. Wait, how much am I down?
Yeah.
How the you know, and you're like, how the fuck, you know, and you're doing the math and you're like, what the hell, man? Like, crap, like I'm down this much. I was only recording for 2 hours. Like, what happened? So that happens more than, you know, when you're just like throwing it at the wind, not having a plan and, you know, going, and at least you had this money in your pocket when you're trying to record. It throws a whole different thing into the mix, because now you're a creator. Now you need it for this channel. But I can honestly say that the perception is, and it's not, you know, of the positive figure of a creator, unless you stack together everything. We have YouTube revenue, Facebook revenue, TikTok revenue is not there anymore, online casino gigs. You put all that together, if you budget well and you're doing your stuff well, yes, this is absolutely in the positive. You stack up the top 300 channels. You tell me which ones are in the positive on a monthly basis from being a content creator. It's got to be in the single digits.
Yeah, I think it's easy to kind of get a different perspective when you're watching some of the high roller channels, and it just seems like there's endless, you know, this bet sizes these days have just gone crazy. And it feels like it can feel a bit like play money after a while. And, you know, I think people may get the wrong idea about the reality that's really going on for the majority of channels, at least.
Yeah. And you could see it happen in the comment section too. And it's obviously a bunch of ignorance where, like, you have, let's just say you have a high limit channel and they happen to show their screen. This happened to somebody, and it was like 10,000 in free play. And there goes the comment section. Oh, you're not even playing with your money. You watched it.
How do you think you got the free play?
Did you see them just blow through 5,000 in the matter of 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes? And it's just, it's incredible to me. But you push all that aside. Like, my goal now is to get paid to do this in every possible way that I can, because I have separated myself to do so, or at least to feel that way. Right. Yeah. So I'm going to do my best to do that. That wants to piss off half the world. So be it. But
like, for the record, casinos aren't giving influencers a bunch of free play for nothing. It's like you've already paid, you've lost the money to earn it, right? Yeah. I feel like people assume that you're getting more value than what the casinos actually give you, and based on like an accurate picture of it, you probably should be getting more for what you guys do, and they should be giving you free play and stuff like that. But it's not really the case, is it?
I broke it down, and if you were to ask a casino for the amount of free play that we should ask for, their heads spin. And it's funny to me, because it's just like, it's free play. I'm not asking you for money here. Like, I'm asking you for free play. I get it. Obviously, we could turn it into money. What do you think I'm going to do? I have no choice now, because of this. I'm literally asking you for more because of the space that I'm in. Means that I have to record and put this out there. The more free play you give me,
the more advertising they're going to get. Yeah, it's interesting too, because you don't want to get to the point where money loses all value and people are just playing with play money as well. So, you know, that's kind of what happens online pretty easily, is like online rooms start giving you basically free play or totally promotional funds to play with, and eventually the bets don't really mean anything, and it erodes some of the authenticity, I think, that led people to really led to the growth of the space in the first place. But
yeah, I get it.
That's really interesting. I mean, I'm excited to see where things go, and I know you're kind of on the cutting edge of live events. Like you said, when you got sidelined recently, you were at an event that you had organized for influencers. So, you know, I think, like you said, we're still at the beginning of this space, and I think you're going to be in a fantastic position to continue pioneering the opportunities for influencers. So we're excited to see what happens when you're back on your feet later this year and beyond.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to get back out there. You know, I've missed a lot just over the last couple months. It's been killing me, and just like, I want to get back out there for my people too, you know, and I don't want to become an afterthought either. We are in a realistic world in 2025. If you're not trending, If you're not out there, you're going to fall, that quick behind. And I don't want that to happen either, because I'm in a space where that happens on a weekly basis, because the next person that has the next biggest jackpot or the next viral jackpot and the next viral bonus games in 15 minutes. So my space is all a bunch of random slot machines spread across this country of who could be the next viral, whatever it may be. So that's what I'm battling against too. So it's just, it's eating me alive, man. I can't wait to get back out.
For what it's worth, John, I know that the amount of goodwill and loyalty that you've built up over the years isn't going to go away anytime soon. And I know there's a huge number of people that'll be there when you come back, when you're ready to come back. So
well said.
For what it's worth, I know that's true.
Yeah, confirmed, Matt. Yeah, well said. I can confirm that.
But I totally can relate to. I can't really imagine, but I can hear how hard it must be, especially for someone like you that's so energetic and kind of feeds off of the interaction and all the stuff that you do, which is what's made you so successful, I think. So it's been so nice to have a chance to chat and to get an update about what's been happening for you and where things are headed. I'm also really excited to ask you a couple questions at least about your origin story and your experience in the space. I feel like we could do another hour talk with all the questions I'd love to ask you. So maybe we can schedule a follow-up to this, because I'd love to get into, games and your big win stories and everything else. I think maybe we'll keep it for the next one and keep a bunch of gas in the tank for that one.
Oh, a little part 2. And you know what? Maybe we could schedule that absolutely after my procedure, after I have everything that's supposed to be done, because that'll happen within the next, hopefully within the next couple of weeks to a month, Matt. So maybe it would be a good follow-up. I'm sorry if I kept ranting and raving there. I know we didn't really get to talk about
I could spend hours talking to you, and we have before. So we have before on a rooftop in Vegas, pal, right? Beautiful thing. Where's my boy Phil? Big shout out to Phil. Shout out to him. We'll do it again, I guarantee it. And it sounds like a great chance to give the community and your fans another update. And I'm so happy that that's happening quickly for you, and you were able to find a specialist, given that this is such a rare thing. And I know that can be really tough too. So I'm so happy that you're getting support that way. And we wish you the best of luck. We wish you a smooth recovery, and we'll be here along the way, and really look forward to checking in again. And also for your return to your channel, which I'm sure will happen before too long.
Yeah. Can't wait to get back out there, man. Thanks for having me. Obviously, I'm sorry for everything that has occurred. We were rocking and rolling there, but Matt, you've taken over, man. And this space. You have me too, regardless, as long as I'm sidelined for, you have me and my outreach into this community. And you have a bunch of people that love the community enough that they love talking about it, love sharing their stories, and love making it grow. So, there will be no shortcomings without me here. You can absolutely take this over. You are taking this over, man. Look at your setup. Like, everybody's used to this setup.
Yeah, but I'm trying to fill in for you, and they're big shoes to fill, as well as people have so much love for you. But I feel very privileged to have had all the guidance from you and other people in the community, and I'm excited because it's just like there's so many cool characters, there's so many cool stories. Yeah. There's not enough coverage and kind of exposure for all this fun and cool stuff. It's just like you said, like your fans were already there. They just never had someone that was like them, doing the thing that they love to do, acting the way that they love to act, and having fun in a way that's like entertainment that they can engage with and consume and build a community around. Yeah. And so I feel like that's a small example of what the entire community is experiencing now, because there's a massive number of people out there who are passionate slots players, and they still don't really know that this is all happening. So yeah, I'm very grateful to have you here, and I can't wait to get you back on the channel in any way that we can. And again, wish you a really speedy and smooth recovery, and look forward to checking in along the way and having you back on maybe after your procedures are done and whenever is a good time for you. Yeah, sounds good, man. I can't wait, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you to you all. And that's it, man. Well, I have some more videos for you soon. That's it.